US Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman is holding a bilateral meeting with China's Vice Foreign Affairs Minister Xi Feng in the city of Tianjin. The visit comes at a time when tensions between Washington and Beijing run at an all-time high on multiple fronts. Ahead of the meeting, Beijing had urged the US to stop demonizing China during the talks. China's foreign ministry said, and I quote, "The hope may be that by demonizing China, the US could somehow blame China for its own structural problems. We urge the US to change its highly misguided mindset and dangerous policy. The US views China as an imagined enemy." She will also meet Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Last week, the US said that it was hoping to use the talks as an opportunity to show Beijing what responsible and healthy competition looks like. This in order to make sure that conflict does not escalate. Sherman is so far the highest-ranking US official to visit China since President Joe Biden took office. Before this, US Special Climate Envoy John Kerry traveled to Shanghai in April to meet his Chinese counterpart. Bilateral ties between the two countries have soured to an extent that foreign policy experts do not expect any significant outcome. If the talks go well, it could help set the stage for an eventual meeting between Biden and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. This is expected on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Italy in October this year. The Biden administration has sought to rally partners against what it sees as increasingly coercive Chinese policies. Washington also criticizes Beijing for its treatment of Uyghur Muslims in the Xinjiang region. Earlier this month, the US Senate passed a legislation to ban the import of products from China's Xinjiang region. US officials say Chinese actions against Uyghur and other minority groups amounts to genocide. Wendy Sherman has already visited Japan, South Korea and Mongolia. After wrapping up her China tour, she will visit Oman. WION President Richard Kimper sent us this report from Hong Kong.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry is producing a much stronger response than we've seen in the past in the build-up towards these talks, and indeed in the first few hours of the talks all the analysts here are looking at this as being another example of Beijing's increased assertiveness and confidence towards dealing with the United States. It's not simply dismissing some of the criticisms that are coming its way, but it's actually firing back with its own criticisms of what it perceives to be wrong with the US's political and economic systems. That's not really a great start to these high-level talks, but there are expectations that there will be some level of agreement, because the analysts here believe that it is in the interests of both countries to try to work towards that very high-level meeting between President Xi Jinping and President Joe Biden in October on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Italy. And to not achieve that, the analysts here say, would be a real blow to the future stability of that relationship in the longer term. So the expectation is that although Beijing's certainly talking tough and doesn't seem to be willing to back down to most of the US's demands, there is still an interest from Beijing to maintain at least amicable relationships, even if they're not ones that necessarily come to any kind of fruit.